What's up guys, Zolly Effect back at it again with another video. I know it's been some time, but honestly there hasn't really been too many 4Ks that I've been wanting to pick up personally myself, but we ended up getting one probably in last week, and yep, we got another 4K review. And today's 4K review is gonna be Deep Blue Sea. Yes, as this movie is actually really nostalgic for me. So when I heard that Arrow Video was actually going to do a 4K restoration of it, I said I had to get it because I instantly knew maybe the water effects were going to be good, and I just figured it was just going to be a really good movie to have on 4K. And also Arrow Video was doing it, and they usually do a pretty damn good job. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and show you some close-ups of the Deep Blue Sea and kind of just talk about the packaging. All right, so for the packaging of Deep Blue Sea, we have a random chick in the front, and she is floating towards the top. It really gives me a Jaws kind of feel, and I actually quite like it. It looks really nice. I love the red and blue contrast. Obviously you got red for blood and you got blue for the shark, and I love this new shark art that they did. I do really enjoy the spine as well. It just says Deep Blue Sea and it's like a bright red. I think it's a really killer look and looks really nice on a bookshelf. And when you take it out, you are presented on the back, again showing off the same art from the front of the great white. Looks really nice. It is a little bit faded compared to the actual slipcover, I would say. Like the saturation on this is nice and this looks a little faded. When you open it, you're gonna get a poster. You're gonna get the Aquatica research booklet, which kind of just goes over, you know, some of the stuff about the movie. You're gonna have screenshots of the movie. They're gonna go over some behind the scenes, the storyboards. They're gonna show you just the ways that they plan to shoot some of this. And honestly, I haven't read it, but it does seem like an interesting book. But I never really read the booklets that come in these movies, but I might start giving them a go here soon. But definitely some interesting stuff in here, and it's really high quality. The paper's real nice, and even has that nice fresh book kind of smell. Plastic DVD case, again showcasing some new art of the great white, and I think it looks really nice. It shows the research floppy disk, it shows the great white again with some blood and the Alzheimer's medicine with a syringe. When you get inside, you get some pretty useless postcards, nicely well designed, but they're honestly just screenshots from the movie, and I don't really think anyone's really interested in looking at something like this. And I don't know, I don't really have a purpose for this. It's kind of nice. Maybe I'll make a poster out of all the postcards that I get, but honestly I feel like Arrow Video should be including something with a little bit more character. Kind of like in Inglourious Basterds, you get the coaster, you get the recipe for the strudel cake, and honestly I just feel like it has a lot more going for it than this. This is kind of just your standard Arrow Video release with its poster and its, you know, random postcards. Not really a big fan of the postcards. I do think it needed some more character, but I do like the packaging overall. I think it's really nice. So I'm gonna put all this back and then we can start talking about the 4K restoration and the audio quality for this movie, because it is a little bit of a mixed bag. So the HDR in this movie is really nice, especially when you are in sunny, very well lit areas. In the very beginning, you're gonna see a lot of really well lit things. It's really gonna just bring all the color alive, and you're just gonna get you know, just a really nice saturation pop in this movie overall. Now there was a handful of scenes where you're in a darker environment. I felt specifically the very first scene where you're seeing Samuel L. Jackson and they're talking about possibly shutting down this whole Aquatica thing because one of the sharks got loose and attacked some people. That scene, I feel like the orange on the color of their skin just didn't really look right. It was really bright and really saturated, and I felt like it was one of the rare moments where the color just did not look good. But when you get to actually go to Aquatica and you get to see all the water, that looks really nice. All the skin tones look nice and tan and orange, but not overly orange like in the very beginning of the movie. And overall, it's just a really good movie when it comes to skin tones and just color. It has a really nice pop, but again, I expect nothing less from an Arrow Video release. Their saturation is usually really on point. The crispiness of this movie is a little bit of a mixed bag depending if you like film grain or not. This movie does have film grain, especially in parts where there is not as much light. You're gonna see a lot of film grain. For the most part, stuff is really nicely lit in this movie, so you're not gonna get a super overload of film grain in this movie at all, honestly. And for all the scenes that are well lit and things like that, those look really nice. And overall, it's just a really crispy movie because of the environment that they are in. Now, what I mean by that is the environment that they're in is like surrounded by water, right? So the characters are constantly always drenched in water. You're gonna get to see droplets of water off their face. You're gonna see every little nook and cranny of their pores when it does close-ups. All the water glistening everywhere when it's on the sharks or on people. Just looks really, really nice. There's something about water when it catches light that it has like a nice shine to it. And this movie is just plastered with that because again, we're in water and the environment's really nice. So there's always gonna be water everywhere. You're able to see a lot more of the details in the background. Again, you're gonna have some more grungier like stuff, like with the way the wall peels and paint, and just have like that rusty kind of grungy look to some of the areas on the ship. And I think they're really, really pop crispiness wise. But again, the standout on this movie is just the water in general. When you have that really bright saturation and the water's just glistening just right, and you have characters that are drenched in water, everything just looks super shiny, super crystal clear. Small gripe besides grain on this movie is the fact that some of the special effects in this movie do not hold up. It's just overall like a really cheesy premise. So when these PS2 graphics show up in the movie, I'm like, damn, it looks kind of rough, and you can really tell, but at the same time it kind of adds to that whole cheesiness factor of the movie. And I thought it was just kind of made it more of a fun popcorn movie, honestly. When it came on, I would just like point to my brother or my girlfriend and be like, oh my god, this looks crazy. But if you do want like some really high resolution, some really lifelike special effects, you're not going to get it. The sharks look really rough sometimes. A couple standout moments where they're using puppets of the sharks. I think those are pretty nice standout moments, 4K crispy wise and like water wise and stuff like that. But when you get into the ocean and you're going underwater, some of that stuff looks really grainy and a little bit noisy. The sharks, again, look, you know, like they're from PlayStation 2. There's a couple helicopter scenes, and some of the shots of the helicopter just looks a little rough. Good amount of standout moments when it comes to terrible special effects, and they do not hold up. So if that's something that bothers you, I would definitely not recommend this movie, as it is a bit distracting, but if you could look past it, I think it's a pretty fun time. If you're not getting this for the video, I would definitely recommend getting it for the audio, because this has a new Dolby Atmos track. And oh my god, it reminded me how good an action movie is when you're watching it on the 4K format. They use so many different things in this Dolby Atmos track, from the rig of Aquatica like kind of creaking, and you can hear like the water pushing, had like this low bass effect that kind of goes around the room, and it sounds like almost like the metals kind of squishing and stuff. That sounds really nice, and it's kind of just always there. The water, when it comes rushing into the rooms and you have explosions of water, and like the sound effects are like kind of just like, whoosh, you know, it sounds like water pouring into a room, but it just comes across so loud and room filling that all the water crashing sound effects sound really nice, and they can get pretty loud. The explosions, specifically on the helicopter crash scene, sounds super loud, and the score of the music that's in the background of some of these scenes just really has like a loud punchiness to it, almost makes you feel like you're at a concert. Overall, I thought this Dolby Atmos track was super loud, super immersive, from the water sound effects to the creaking of the rig. Now that is my one gripe of the immersive mix, is that sometimes it can be just a little too immersive to where I feel like it interferes with the audio of the characters talking. And what I mean by that is sometimes you'll find yourself in a small room that's made out of metal, and it kind of has like this echoey effect with the character's voice, and I feel like it's a little hard to understand them. And at the same time, you have water in the background. All those cool things that I listed are all going on throughout your channels, and I felt like the voice channel just was like at the same loudness of those parts of the audio, and I just felt like it kind of muddied out the dialogue and kind of made it hard to understand. But overall, guys, the Dolby Atmos on this is really awesome, and really truly, without like exaggeration, it just put me in that movie theater experience where I had like the super loud you know, soundtrack going on. You know, the music's real loud, the impacts of the bass and the explosions are super just punchy and loud. You feel the vibrations, and then you have this 4K quality, like a really good crispy video, and it just gave me that sense of like, yeah, this is why I watch physical media, because you really truly get that movie going experience at home, and this movie really reminded me of it. Now let's talk about the special features, one of the last things I'm going to talk about. And honestly, I did not go through them. I was looking at the back, and they do have a lot of different things that they added in, and I'll go ahead and go over them. I did hear there's a weird featurette. So usually when Arrow Video does like these releases, they'll have these little featurettes that they put on of like interviews or like new footage of like, you know, behind the scenes of people talking about how they made the movie. And specifically, I heard that this one has like a mini documentary of a guy that doesn't have anything to do with the movie, and he's just kind of talking about it. And I just heard a lot of bad things about it, so I just didn't check it out. But I heard that it was was just like one of the weirdest things Arrow Videos ever added to their special features, so I just didn't check it out. Brand new audio commentary by the filmmaker and critic Rebecca McKendry, When Sharks Attack, which is the thing I was talking about, which is the making of the Deep Blue Sea and Archive featurette, the Sharks of the Deep Blue Sea and Archive featurette. So maybe that's the one I was talking about. You got some deleted scenes with optional commentary, you got an image gallery. So yeah, they did pack, you know, some new things into this, but again, I did not hear good things about it, so I cannot possibly recommend it to you for the special features, but they are there, and they are there if you want to watch them. Overall, guys, I'm really happy with this 4K restoration from Arrow Video. I thought it was a blast to watch. Now, the packaging wasn't like too crazy. I kind of feel like they just gave you a lot of useless things that you're probably not going to use. So yeah, it's a little bit of a downside, but if you like the chunky look to these Arrow Videos, which I personally do, I think it looks really good on a bookshelf. But I could definitely recommend it if you're on the edge about picking it up or not. And I know this movie's getting a little bit of flack in some of the reviews, but honestly, it's not that bad. People are being a little too harsh, and I could recommend it. So stick around, guys, and I will see you on the next 4K review. Deuces.